Welcome back, everyone. So I've got a very special video for you today. I am going to be going through my entire pedal collection. Basically, every pedal that I've collected over the years is going to be in this video, and I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory behind each one and give you my 2 cents on them. So let's dive right in. Right after a word from our sponsor, at least. GTHIC is a jewelry company that specializes in high-quality stainless steel rings, bracelets, and other accessories. Their designs cover a very wide variety of themes. For example, there's this lovely Eye of Ra that's adorned with ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, and this Spartan helmet like the one King Leonidas wore in a battle. Or maybe Viking designs are more your thing. In that case, this Volknut runes ring would suit you. Or perhaps this Japanese demon would be more up your alley. There's also some cool medieval designs available, like this double-headed eagle coat of arms, and some badass pirate designs like this one with the skull and pirate swords. There's even stuff for all the Satan worshippers like this Sigil of Baphomet. And for all you Christians out there, there's beautiful rings like this one with our Lord and Savior on it, so Jesus can be with you wherever you go. All of these and more are available on GTHIC's website. The link is in the description if you'd like to come explore their catalog. And if you use the promo code Dillon20 at checkout, you'll get a 20% discount on your order, and you'll be directly helping me make more content for you. So what are you waiting for? Come check out what GTHIC has to offer you today. And now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video. So I'm gonna kick things off with the pedal board that I've built for my band Night Tripper. Starting with the Ernie VPJr. This is a 2-in-1 pedal that is a volume pedal and a tuner. What I absolutely love about this pedal compared to other volume and tuner pedals is the big bright display here that shows from a reasonable distance what your volume is set at and what tuning your strings are in. This is gonna be perfect for when I'm an old man and God forbid my eyesight starts to go. This is also quite the eye catcher at jams I go to. I remember going to an open jam a couple of years ago at a friend's place, and I left this on the ground, and some of the other guys, they were just kind of like playing with the pedal here because they were so fascinated with this display and it's showing the level. So it's definitely a fun pedal to use. Next up in the chain is a Dunlop Crybaby. This is a very no muss, no fuss wah pedal, and I love it. Also got quite a bit of weight to it. I could almost use this as a murder weapon. But yeah, it's a very smooth wah action, I find. The pedal itself is a tiny bit loose, but I've had it for a while, so I kind of expect a bit of wear and tear there. It still serves me beautifully though. Moving on to the actual board itself, we start off with the SMG cock blocker. It's a little bright here. I don't know if you can actually see the pedal itself. Oh well, you'll see it in the B-roll. This was the noise gate pedal I got a couple years back when Glenn Fricker from Spectre Media Group and Spectre Sound Studios, he launched this limited line of noise gate pedals. This one's pretty special too because it runs through your main chain, but it also runs through your effects loop at the same time. What this does is it preserves the sustain of your note while cutting off the noise. It's a very, very interesting concept for a noise gate. Even though the setup's a tiny bit more complicated, once you actually have it set up, it's one of the simplest pedals you can use for a noise gate. Like it's one knob and an on-off switch. I just love it. I can't imagine my board without it. Also, I absolutely love the chicken design on it. Glenn, if you're watching this, please, please, please bring this pedal back, at least for a little while. Moving on down the main chain, we have the Warden by Earthquaker Devices. I like to play on clean channels a lot, especially with Night Tripper, so I'm gonna need a compressor on my board. And what drew me to the Warden here is the control layout being very similar to a lot of the compressor plugins I use on Reaper. When I was browsing for a compressor pedal, this was the only one within a reasonable price point that had a tone, attack, release, level, ratio, and sustain knob on it. These are basically the same controls on some of the plugins I use on Reaper for compression. I also love how it doesn't affect my tone too much aside from compression. So there's that too. This is definitely worth having on your board regardless of what you're playing. Now this next one in my main chain is a very special one and one that I use all the time. This is the DigiTech Drop. Basically what this pedal does is it shifts your whole signal down in semitone increments. So if I were playing in drop D, which I play in all the time, I could go down to drop C sharp, drop C, drop B, and so on. This is also a great way to save money. Instead of buying two guitars, one for drop D and one for drop C, you can just play on one guitar, get this pedal, and shift the whole signal down a tone. One thing I should note though is the further down you go, the more latency you might run into and the more tone loss you might notice, but it's honestly not that much. I mean, once I get to around 4 or 5, like I'll switch over to like a baritone guitar, but it's still super handy to have. Now this next pedal is one of my personal favorites. This is the DigiTech Whammy Ricochet. This is one of the first effects pedals I ever got, and I think it helps shape my sound in a very unique way. This pedal is essentially a more compact version of the DigiTech Whammy pedal without the actual whammy pedal part. The way I like to use it though is I turn the momentary switch off, turn the range upward, and the pitch I set to octave up plus dry. What this allows me to do is it lets me cut straight through the mix during more climactic portions of some songs, and it really helps my guitar soar during those moments. And when I do this with cleans, I get a really nice 12-string effect out of it. So yeah, this is a very, very special pedal to me, and it's gonna remain on my board for many years to come. Now this next one's not really a pedal at all. It's more of a signal booster. This is the Truetone Pure Tone buffer. All this does is boost the signal, which you're gonna need if you're running a big ass chain of pedals like I am. Right after the buffer, we have a good old classic Ibanez TS808. I got this pedal secondhand from my good buddy Grant from Jupiter Hollow when he switched over to the Quad Cortex. I had him on the channel a little while back talking about the Quad Cortex and his thoughts on it. You can find the video in one of these corners. I can't remember which one off the top of my head. But anyway, this is a really nice pedal to have on my board because it gives my distorted tones an extra little bit of meatiness where I need it, and it gives my cleans a really nice crispiness, if you know what I mean by those terms. But yeah, this one's a keeper too. And last but certainly not least on my main chain is the good old MXR Phase 90. This is also one of the first effects pedals I ever got, and I still use it all the time to this day for solos because it's so effective at masking minor mistakes. Plus you can make some really weird alien noises with it, which is kind of cool. And now let's move on to my board's effects loop, starting with the Fender Hammertone Flanger. I actually got this pedal for free because back when I had my old Gretsch Jr. Jet bass, it was falsely advertised as having humbucking pickups when in reality it had single coil. They issued everyone who bought that bass $100 store credit at Fender's shop online. And I used every single penny of mine to get this pedal. And I gotta tell you, it's a very, very nice flange pedal. Like I can make all sorts of weird alien noises with this pedal. Next down the chain is the JHS Chorus. This is a very nice and lush chorus pedal for the money. I don't really have much more to say about it. It's just a really nice and lush chorus pedal. Now this next one is one of my all-time favorites. This is the Boss DD7 digital delay and the Boss FS5U tap tempo switch. This is also one of the ones I bought from Grant when he switched over to Quad Cortex, but not only that, this is the same DD7 that was used in the recording of a lot of Jupiter Hollow's earlier songs. And this pedal still really holds up to this day, especially if you have the tap tempo switch to go with it. That way you can just tap the tempo with your foot and you're good to go. And right at the very end of my effects loop, we have the Oceans 11 Reverb by Electro Harmonix. This is such an incredibly diverse and powerful reverb pedal for the money. As the name would suggest, there are 11 different reverb options you can choose from. And to have all of that versatility in one very small and very affordable package is amazing. I usually just keep it on haul and just add like a tiny bit to my signal, but to have all these options available to me is just awesome, especially for the price point. That was my pedal board. Now let's look at the rest of my pedals that I have just lying around. Let's start with the good old Boss TU3 chromatic tuner. This is the most common tuner pedal you'll find on anyone's board, and for good reason. They're very durable, very reliable. Even though I mainly use the VPJr these days for my tuner, I still use this one all the time, especially if either I'm in a studio setting or if I'm changing strings on one of my guitars and I just need a tuner handy to see where the pitch is at with my strings. But yeah, I've got nothing to say that's already been said a million times about this pedal. This is a very, very reliable tuner. Now, I don't know if this next one's a pedal or not, but when am I ever gonna get to talk about this one? This is the DigiTech RP90. This is the very first effects pedal that I've ever gotten, if you can call it an effects pedal. It's more of a multi-effect processor. I remember when I first got this as a teenager thinking like, these are all the effects that I'm ever gonna need as a guitarist, and For a while, it actually served its purpose, but my tastes kind of grew from there. You can save up to 90 presets on this and just toggle between them with these foot switches. One of the switches is very worn out now, but while it worked, it was a very fun little device to use. I brought it with me to every single jam I went to back in the day, and it just holds so much sentimental value to me. I didn't even take the price tag off this thing because I'm just so nostalgic. Next up, we have another classic goodie, the Electro Harmonix Big Muff. And boy, is it big. But it's a very, very nice pedal. I still take it to jams to this day because, especially for stoner metal jams, because it just gives me such a nice fuzzy tone. I love this thing to death, even though it's a pain in the ass to find a power supply for it these days. And here we are, the last pedal in my collection, the Catalinbread RAH. This is essentially an overdrive pedal that is modeled after Jimmy Page's overdrive tone from Led Zeppelin's 1970 Royal Albert Hall show. But honestly, I find this more useful as a fuzz pedal because if you crank the gain up, it makes for a really, really nice fuzz effect. It doesn't get a whole lot of use these days, but I still like to whip it out for the occasional project. Such a handy little pedal to have sometimes. So yeah, that's basically my entire pedal collection. If you'd like to see a more in-depth look at any one of these pedals, just let me know in the comments section and I'll see what I can do. Until then, see you next time. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end of the video. If you enjoy my content, be sure to leave a like, follow, and subscribe. That would really help out a lot. And if you'd like to support me more directly, I've got merch for sale at the DillonJamesExperience.ca. You can also come check out my music both from my solo project and from my band Night Tripper. All the links are going to be in the description. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.